Obviously I already introduced myself, so I'll kind of let you introduce yourself and we'll kind of go from there.
Awesome. So yeah, Jimmy Robertson, offensive coordinator and quarterback coach here at Monmouth University in New Jersey, FCS Division One team in the CAA. Been here for 5 years. First year as offensive coordinator, just got promoted this winter when our OC at the time, Coach Gallo, Jeff Gallo, got promoted to head coach after our only head coach ever at Monmouth, Coach Callahan, retired after 33 years at the helm after having started Monmouth football in 1993. So I love it here at Monmouth, going on year 5. And been coaching or playing the quarterback position for my whole entire life. So it's something I'm passionate about, as I know you are, and excited to just talk quarterback play and anything in between.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jimmy, we'll kind of start from a high school perspective and kind of how you guys, like what you guys look for in the sense of what you break down quarterbacks, like some of the values, maybe intangibles off the field that you're looking for, as you kind of evaluate these high school classes that are coming in.
Yeah, great question. And I'll say this: we start out with like we have to love the quarterback, right? When we're recruiting a quarterback, which again I'm passionate about, and I think it's the greatest position in all of sports. Obviously, I'm biased, but it's such an important position for any team. But with what we do at Monmouth, like we want to fall in love with the quarterback we're recruiting or quarterbacks that we're recruiting. And I say that is like we're going to like a lot of them, right? But we want to love them. Like, can this player lead us to a championship? Can this player win CAA Player of the Year? Can this quarterback be a Walter Payton Award winner? And we've been fortunate here at Monmouth. The last 2 years, we had the number one offense in the country, FCS total offense. We've had great quarterback play. Our quarterback the last couple of years was my brother, Derek, who's down in Jacksonville right now with the Jaguars at rookie minicamp. He has NFL opportunities. The guy before him is playing in France right now. The guy from 2019, Kenji Bahar, played for the Ravens, and then in the USFL and XFL, and he's playing in Germany now. So we've had a really, really strong lineage of quarterback play, guys that are Walter Payton finalists and players of the year. So like that's how we look at it is, can this guy be one of the best in the country? And then from there, we look at the intangibles. That's a huge part of it. We want a guy that has that, as cliche as it is, and I know everyone probably says this, but that it factor. And when we look at that, it's, do they have the competitive edge? When we're talking with them, when we're seeing them work out live or at a camp or talking to their coach or interacting with them or other people that are in their circle, do they have that competitive edge that when it's game on the line, 4th and 3, we need them to win from a tight pocket? Do they have that it factor to stand and deliver? So I think that's a huge part of it. And then from there, we go into, some of the mental and physical attributes. We want an elite processor. My brother, again, to talk about him a little bit, he wasn't the biggest guy or the biggest arm. He's 6'1.5", was about 214 at our pro day, probably played a little bit lighter than that, but he was an elite processor. I had a scout actually during this NFL draft process text me like, hey, your brother might be the smartest player I've ever interviewed, hands down, at any position.
That's
Right.
awesome.
So that's the kind of guy from the mental standpoint that we want because of how much freedom we give our quarterbacks here at Monmouth. So the mental side of it is huge. And then you obviously get to the physical side. You're looking at the arm talent, and for us, the arm talent is a combination of the arm strength plus the ball placement and accuracy, and then, what's the twitch in their body, the whip in their body, all of those kinds of things. But for us, a huge part of it is the intangible stuff, the off the field stuff. And do we just get that feeling? Like, do we get that gut feeling that this guy can lead us to a championship and be the best in the country?
Absolutely, Jimmy. So how do you guys measure competitive edge and processing? Is it, stuff that you guys see on film? Is it stuff that you guys maybe pressure test when you visit schools in the spring? How do you kind of maybe walk us through how that's evaluated?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of all. One is going to be getting to know them as a person and like what's their mental makeup. Talking about times they've been in hard situations or had to overcome things or tough games. Or watching 3rd and 4th downs on film of, is that when they're playing at their best? We'll talk about even here in the Monmouth quarterback room, like we need to be at our best when our best is needed. When your best is needed is that 4th and 3 that I was talking about. It's that 2-minute drive when we need you to lead us down, knowing they're bringing pressure, knowing there's going to be some high pressure situations. Can you lead us? So, I think it's evaluating those situations on their film and are they productive in those situations? But then I think it's a talking with them and the people in their circle. I think you can get a good feel without asking that direct question necessarily of like what kind of competitor is this guy? Maybe they play another sport. You see them at workouts. You see them in a camp situation or a live situation. And I think you can kind of see those guys that have that competitive edge, doing a little bit of all of those things throughout the process.
Yeah, I love that. We hear a lot, it's guys that are, first in line from a camp perspective,
Yeah.
right? Like and they're fighting for it, right? They want to be the first or second rep so they can be remembered in that manner and then, hypothetically get more reps too, right? And just emphasizing that to younger guys of,
Yeah,
just how
100%.
do you stand out, right? Like
Yeah,
how can, Coach Jimmy at Monmouth remember you, in that manner. So,
100%. Because I'll even go back to like when we want to love the quarterback. It's the same as when we game plan with our quarterbacks here at Monmouth. And our Thursday, final game plan meeting with them. We'll talk to them. Let's just pick a situation. It could be a third down, red zone, whatever the situation is. And hey, what do you love here? Right? We might have 5 or 6 plays in that situation, and sometimes maybe they'll say, "Oh, I like A, B, and C," and we're like, "No, no, no, not which ones you like. Which ones do you love? Game is on the line and it's this situation. Which one do you love?" Right. And that's the same kind of feeling we want to have when we're recruiting a quarterback.
yeah, absolutely. So, Jimmy, from an on the field perspective, as you kind of evaluate quarterbacks, is there certain throws that you look for? Is there stuff that you're looking on film? Like maybe it's the first time you pop a guy's film on like first 5 plays. Like what are you looking
Yeah.
for from a throw perspective? And let's go from there.
Yeah, great question. We want a wide variety on that first 5, right, or the first 10. We want to keep watching it, right? You want to get to the second minute of the highlight film. We don't want to see just all go balls where they're just chucking it 50, 60, 70 yards, right? We want to see the go ball or the post ball to evaluate their arm strength, but then we want to see other throws. We want to see progressions. We want to see rhythm throws. Can they go 1, 2, 3 and throw the field out to the slot, or 1, 2, 3 plant throw in rhythm to a boundary 10 to 12 yard out? Can they get through progressions and throw, Y cross or over routes or digs as the second or third read of the progression? Then we want to see some RPOs, right? What's the trigger like? Can they get it out quick? And while doing that, it's what's their ball placement, right? And we talk a little bit about ball placement and accuracy here, even with our quarterbacks. It's like to us, accuracy is a catchable ball for our receivers, right? But ball placement is now where they can catch it and get the yards after catch, or you're protecting them with the throw, right? So on the film, are they doing some of these things in their highlight film? So I would say it's variety of throws. Can we see the arm strength? Can we see the throws in our offense? Can they throw in rhythm, right? 1, 2, 3 plant throw, but also then get through progressions, be great in the pocket. Like we love when we see guys, what we talk about here at Monmouth is feel the pocket and see your read,
Sure.
right? Feel the pocket, see your read. So do you see some of that on their highlight film where they're keeping their eyes downfield and they get to that second, third, or fourth read in a progression? So I think that's important. We
Yeah.
don't want to see just one thing. We want to see a little bit of all of those because those are things that will translate to our offense here at Monmouth.
Coaches, do you think there's something that, and maybe it's a holistic adjustment from the quarterback position in general the last couple of years, but is there something that you think quarterbacks maybe are lacking that they maybe they had 5, 6 years ago? Like you said, maybe it's that pocket presence that they can work on, from a practice standpoint, just being used to having bodies around them, or what do you kind of see as you evaluate, holistically?
Yeah, yeah. I think there's so much quarterback development out there and there's so many different philosophies around quarterback play. So I wouldn't say that they're lacking anything, but I would say just hone in on all the fundamentals and techniques. And it kind of ties into even like what we do at practice here is like 3 things we always want in our drill work is we want number 1, decision making, number 2, pocket presence, and number 3, the ball placement, right? So all of our drill work is going to incorporate those 3 things. So it's just like hone in on those fundamentals and get great at them. Some of it's not going to be flashy, right? It won't be flashy stuff, but it's going to make you a great quarterback and an instinctual quarterback.
Yeah, so you actually went right where I was going in the sense of drill work. So, Coach, maybe walk us through one of your favorite drills that you like to do with the quarterbacks in your room and why you do it on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so we do at the beginning of practice, like during specialists, we'll do a lot of your your warm up kind of drills, your pocket agility. We do a mirror drill. We do like a walk away drill, quick trigger drills. But I would say like our best stuff is when we drill those three things that I mentioned: decision making, pocket presence, ball placement, and go through our plays in our offense. Right. So we'll run a couple variations of Y cross with different front side reads. So we'll have multiple quarterbacks out at those reads, and we're big on like going through the progression and putting numbers up. And when
Nice.
they put a zero up, you throw that one, right? So that's simulating that guy's open. If they
Yeah.
put any other number but a zero, you're yelling out the number and progressing to the next one. If you get through your full progression, nobody puts up a zero. You tuck it, you chin it, and you burst through the line of scrimmage and first down, touchdown, get down mentality as a runner. So I think for that, we're training those three things I talked about, because either myself, maybe a QC, one of the other quarterbacks will be rushing the passer or collapsing the pocket. So it's feel the pocket, see your read, but you have to make a decision. Is it a zero or not to throw? All right. You're going to have pocket presence because there's some sort of rusher, and then you need great ball placement. But at the same time, it's a play in our offense. And we can do that with all of the plays in our offense in the pass game. So we're banking reps of all of these pass schemes while working these fundamentals that are very important to us.
Yeah, that's awesome, coach. And from a mental standpoint, I mean, it's something that a lot of quarterbacks have to work on more, right? In the sense of going from one to two to three, and something that they might not do or might not think to do
Mm-hmm.
in their regular high school practice because they're so used to running the routes on air. And I'm just going to stare down the stop route, and then
Yep.
all of a sudden you have the Y cross that's over it, and it's like, okay, I gotta move on. I gotta adjust my feet to it. So I love that. That's great.
Yeah, because
Um,
like how many times are you throwing from such a clean pocket? If you're progressing to two, three, or four, probably
yeah,
going to be some sort of movement. So it's be strong in the pocket. And we talk about like win from a tight pocket. Like it's going to be collapsing. We have a great O line here. Coach Gabriel's been here, our O line coach, for over 20 years. First team All Americans almost every year. But we play really good D lines in the CAA. So the
yeah.
pocket's going to collapse as you get to your second, third, or fourth read, and you have to be able to win from that tight pocket while keeping your eyes downfield. So like as much as we can drill that kind of stuff is the better.
Jimmy, you guys kind of talked about how prolific you guys been on offense the last couple of years. Obviously, Derek was spinning it last year in the sense of, I mean, I love FCS football just because I played it, but and I kept in touch and was watching, and like every game you guys were putting up 50, 60, 70 when he was playing. It was awesome. What are, some of the things that you guys have implemented in your offense the last couple of years that maybe have separated your guys from the competition that you really, enjoy?
Yeah, great question. Uh, Number one, we have great players, because guys will even ask me like, man, Derek was so good the last couple of years. Like, how does he do it? And I'm like, guys, I'd love to say it's us as coaches, and hopefully we're a small part of it, but he made us all look good. But I think the biggest thing that we've done is we have such great alignment. In addition to our great players at all positions, we have such great alignment in our offense. We have such great continuity on our coaching staff. Like I've been here going on year 5, and I'm the shortest tenured coach on our offense. So we just have such great collaboration and chemistry within the staff that we're all aligned in one direction. And then that feeling and that presence just trickles into the players. Like they're all on the same page. And they're just such a selfless group that we can do a good amount with them because it's not a constant turnover of offensive scheme and coaches. And then you go from there. It's specifically in the quarterback room. Like we give our quarterback a lot of freedom. Like I like to tell all the scouts that come through the last couple of years asking about Derek, tell us about your scheme, tell us about his processing, the mental side. And I would tell them like we are a pro style mentality in a college no huddle spread system, right? We're going no huddle most of the time. We are signaling in most of the time from the sideline, but the amount of freedom we give our quarterback to kill out of plays and audible at the line of scrimmage or run to run check, run to pass to pass, giving formations and let him, give routes to receivers. I think it truly allows us to, as cliche as this is, but have the pen last. Like
Yeah.
defenses are so good, right? And offenses are evolved. But at the end of the day, the quarterback is the one that truly can have the pen last. So if you can train your quarterbacks to be able to do that kind of stuff, I think that's set us up for a ton of success these last couple of years.
So coach, you talked about like audibling at the line of scrimmage and being able to do that. Is that obviously it's based off the play, but from a holistic perspective in your offense, are you guys looking at box count, safety? Is it more like, D line, three
Yeah.
tech, run into the shade. Like
Yep.
maybe walk us through that in the sense of a lot of these high school quarterbacks aren't doing that. So that
Mhm.
might be new to them and
Yeah.
what they experience in your offense.
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of the above, to be honest, based on what the play is. Our quarterbacks do have freedom to kill out of plays if they see certain looks, but then we'll do kind of a little bit of everything you just said. Hey, we'll go run A, check to run B based on the front. Run A, check to pass A based on a safety alignment. So we do a little bit of all of it. Some of it will package a play, as a consolidated call. So it's a little bit of everything, and that's why I like to say it's like that pro style mentality in the college spread system, because this is things that NFL quarterbacks are doing.
Yeah,
Like even Derek down in Jaguars mini camp right now, like I fully feel like he's prepared for that from a mental side of it. Like even when we meet with our quarterbacks here, if you sat in a quarterback meeting, I tell them all the time, like pretend you're on John Gruden's QB school. Every detail you draw up, every time you're talking to us or teaching it to us, pretend you're on Gruden's QB school, or pretend that there's a scout from whatever NFL team here interviewing you. And that's why I think some of them said that about Derek, of how smart he was through this process, because he's been trained in it. And then he takes it to the next level and just, does things that none of us can do.
yeah, absolutely. You can perform at a different level when you can process that quickly too, right? So when you're bringing in prospective quarterbacks, Jimmy, whether that's high school or transfer portal guys, how important and how do you test their knowledge? Like, do
Yep.
you expect them to come in and be like, hey, I know what a three technique is. I know how to read the boundary safety. Like maybe walk us through that evaluation.
Yeah. So the mental evaluation is a huge part of our process. I know we hit a little bit on like the physical stuff earlier, but we will test the mental in the recruiting process. Get on a Zoom, or when you go visit with them in school during an eval or contact period. Hey, what's your favorite play? Like let them take control of it. Oh, my favorite play is four verts or Y cross or double digs, whatever it is, smash. Okay, teach it to me. See if they can teach their favorite play. If they love it that much, they should be able to teach it to us, pretty instinctively. So that's a big part of the process, is like being able to see, can they teach us what they already know? And we don't need them to necessarily know what the intricacies of cover two are or three tech, because you don't know what they're getting coached at their high school.
Sure.
But we more want to see like the mental aptitude, and can they pick up what we'll teach when they get here. So that's a big part of the process for us. We really won't recruit a quarterback if we don't think he has both the mental and the physical attributes, in addition to all those other intangibles that we talked about, of the presence and the command and being the
Sure.
best in the country and the competitive edge. But the strict eval of the mental and physical, we'll do both, and they're equally important, because you can have a guy, if he can throw the ball 70 yards, but he can't get to a second progression ever. Like how many of those 70-yard post balls or go balls are we throwing in a game?
Not a
Maybe one
lot.
or two. So it's huge for us.
Yeah, no, and it makes a ton of sense, and it's always interesting to hear some of the questions that you guys ask, right? Or quarterback coaches ask in the sense of being able to evaluate, hey, can this guy recall information, right? And can is he trained in that way, or like, what do I have to teach him, and how,
Yeah.
game ready is he as a freshman?
Yeah. And some of it is like, what can they recall? Like you just said. So it might be even in the process of recruiting them, teaching them something in our offense. And then, hey, teach me back what I just told you, 10 minutes ago. Or, hey, when I just showed you this, this progression, what would you do if we got a cover four pre-snap look or a cover three pre-snap look? Like what would you do? And see what their recollection is of what you just taught them, or even like at our camp, right? If we're teaching guys something, maybe we teach something a little bit differently than they do. Can they literally do it on the next rep? Like, can
Yeah.
they learn something and implement it right away? If it's something where I have to teach it to them like 3 or 4 reps in a row, then they might not have that mental aptitude or the processing ability that we're looking for.
Yeah, or just the guys paying attention that may not be in that rep themselves, but they're in line and they're listening to you
100%.
and they're able to do it, right? Versus the guy that
100%.
can't. Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely. So, Coach, you guys signed a freshman quarterback, in this past cycle. Maybe to walk us through kind of how he got on your radar, what made him so special, and why you guys ended up, being like, hey, this guy's going to fit our room the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah, I think it ties into most of the stuff we've talked about here already. Like it's a guy that through the process we just like kept falling in love with everything he did, from the film to then live workout. Then he came to our camp and was great at our camp when I was able to work with him and get hands on with him. So it was like he just kept checking every box that we were looking for. And then it was the mental side of teaching him something. And then, a day or two later, hey, teach me back that play I taught you a couple of days ago. And it was like boom, boom, boom. So it was kind of like every step throughout the process just kept making us fall in love with them to be the guy that we wanted. We've been blessed and fortunate that we've had such a good offense and great quarterback play that it's been a destination, for quarterbacks. There's a lot of great QBs that want to come to Monmouth because they've seen the success of Derek and Kenji Bahar and
Sure.
all these other quarterbacks this last 7, 8 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So from, what would be your advice to high school quarterbacks that are, maybe trying to get noticed by you? Maybe walk through how you kind of put your board together, how guys get to be on the radar at Monmouth and let's go from there.
Yeah, I think be proactive. I think this is very much a two-way street. I think building those relationships will only enhance it. And be aggressive with coaches. DM us. Maybe a coach doesn't answer right away, but you send another DM and they do answer. Like you never know what could catch the attention of the QB coach or coordinator or maybe an area recruiter for the school, and they pass it along to the QB coach. So I would say, build relationships, be aggressive and proactive with it, and then also like ask the hard questions in recruiting. Like I'll tell all the QBs that we're recruiting, like we're not going to be a team that offers 10 plus quarterbacks in a class. We recruit to offer, right? And some programs offer to recruit. And philosophically, both are okay and both are fine. And there's successful programs that do both. But we'd rather do it the way we've done it, and it's been successful for us. But I tell our recruits, like, X every coach you're talking to. QB is a different animal. Most places are taking one. Some places might not even take a high school one. Philosophically, we want to take a high school scholarship kid in every class. We feel that that's what's going to lead us to championships here. But like ask your recruiter and ask the QB coach and coordinator hard questions about their process and where you stand on their board, and make them answer it. We feel that we do a good job of just being honest with the recruit throughout the process.
Yeah. Yeah. From when you get guys, let's say they're on your board and, they're 1 through 5, what is the kind of the key characteristic that's going to separate them? Is it that intangible to win? Is it, hey man, this guy, like there's just something about him. Maybe it's the way he carries himself in the building when he sees you. Like, how have you kind of determined like that is I need to get that guy?
Yeah, it's almost like every time you walk away from talking with them, seeing them during an eval or contact period, every time you walk away, you're like, man, I need that quarterback in our program.
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture of all the things we've talked about from this guy can lead us to a championship. This guy has that competitive edge. This guy has that it factor. He's a leader. I can see all of the guys in our program rallying around him because like the top of the board, there might be 2 or 3 that talent wise, like have the equal talent. Like they're really, really good. They have the arm talent. They have the physical attributes. They have the mental side, but then like what separate them? So it's every time you walk away, they just have that presence, right? They have that command. And it's honestly, it's like similar to like what Derek now, going through this NFL draft process now and in mini camps, it's like make them have to keep you in the building, right? Every time you're in there, there's just something about you in the film room, in a walkthrough, in the weight room that they're like, damn, like we have to keep this Robertson kid from Monmouth. And that's how we want to feel with a recruit. Like, man, I have to have player A from high school A because every time I see him, he's just that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. From a recruiting standpoint, coach, obviously the transfer portal has opened up some different opportunities for kids. How has that played a role? You kind of mentioned it earlier of like, hey, we really believe as a program that we need to bring in, one quarterback per class. But why is that your viewpoint? And maybe walk us through how the transfer portal has affected you guys, obviously in positive ways from a Derek
Yeah.
standpoint, but just in general and how you guys have dealt with it.
Yeah. So we philosophically at all positions, we want to recruit and develop high school players. I think the continuity of the staff, having only now our second head coach ever, and Coach Gal has been here for over 20 years as a player and coach,
Yeah.
taking over for Coach Cal, that it allows us because of that stability that we can recruit and develop high school guys. And we believe in our developmental plan from a sport performance to a football scheme, football development and everything in between. But from like the QB perspective, we feel we can get that guy. One, we think we can get probably a better quarterback now because so many FBS schools are taking transfers that there's probably a little bit of a higher level QB now in high school that we can get. Okay. And then we can
Oh, I like that.
develop him into our system. Um, so really we want to take one in every class. We were fortunate, the unique situation that Derek was a transfer, to us from another CAA school, and he had a great career there. And it just what the portal can take, the portal can give. And with me being here now at the time, I wasn't here when he was coming out of high school. And we had a need at the position because we did lose a kid that was a 3-year starter to go to FBS, and he started at Virginia after he left here. So it kind of left us with an opening. So we got Derek. But now since then, again, we've signed, every year I've been here, we've signed a high school quarterback still, and now we're pretty much back on track. With Derek graduating, we got great young talent in the room competing. We talk about it's the competition and camaraderie. They're all competing for one spot, right? And one guy's going to play, but we got to have that camaraderie at the end of the day because one success is all of our success. And we talk about it's for the room. Like everything we do as quarterbacks at Monmouth is for the room. And the guy that's on the field, we're all going to celebrate him. But at the same time, we're gonna compete our tails off and make it happen.
So, Coach, you're kind of leading me exactly where my next question was going to be, which is probably one of my final ones. But, now that you have your quarterback room there at Monmouth, and like you said, you have an open position, what are the things that the eventual starter is going to have to do to separate himself from the rest of the pack? And maybe let's walk through that.
Yeah, it's who can lead us to scoring touchdowns. At the end of the day, and that's maybe the easy answer to give, but it's like who gets the offense going, right? And there's a couple different metrics that we'll use to grade our guys. One of them is just like offensive efficiency. So whether they're in there with the ones or twos, it's just, is the offense moving? Are we getting positive plays? Are we getting first downs? Are we scoring touchdowns? Right. And then from there, we have what we call our Hawk grading system that we use for all positions. So that's like a GPA. So they'll get that. And then we look at touchdown to turnover ratio. And we want 4-1 for every
Nice.
turnover you have, and that could be a fumble or an interception. Like we need 4 touchdowns from you, passing or rushing, and we've been really good at that the last couple of years. Like Derek was, I think 27-5 this year, in only 6.5 games, and the year before he was like 31-6. So we've been really good at not turning the ball over. So that's a big part of us and a big part of our explosiveness, so we can be aggressive when we have that constant forward motion as an offense. So it's really who takes the lead and then who gets the offense going and, staying at a high clip.
Yeah. Have you noticed anything like amongst the guys that you've coached that maybe a common thread line, like the guys that have been really, really successful, like Derek, that they all kind of naturally have, whether from a leadership perspective, maybe?
Yeah, from a leadership standpoint, it's they make others better. Like Derek made everyone in the program better. Everyone gravitated towards him. And it was because of the work he put in. Like this is a guy, and I can say this for all of the quarterbacks in our QB room and our pro and everyone in our program. Like we want guys that love football, that are passionate about it, that are hungry to learn and keep developing. I think that goes into us being a developmental program of, we want to do that. But from a QB standpoint, it's guys that just love football, love learning, want to keep getting better, because then guys gravitate towards them. They build better chemistry with their receivers, their offensive linemen, other guys in the program. So I think it's all of those, intangibles, that passion for the game and just that hunger just to keep getting better is what we want.
Absolutely. Coach, this has been awesome. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate your time.